When I do a personnel interview, I'm interviewing somebody for a job. I always ask them at some point in the interview, what do you think your strengths are? And what do you think your weaknesses are? As a state, as a county, as a community, we really have to know not just what our strengths are, because we often want to focus on that. We often want to tell everybody how good we are, and we don't think about the weaknesses that we have as an area. You have to know both. You have to know them for different reasons. You know the strengths because that's what you're going to highlight. That's what you're going to sell. That's what you're going to make a company feel comfortable about. But you're also going to have to know the weaknesses because they're going to know the weaknesses probably as well or better than you do. We often find that a lot of companies and site consultants have done their homework better than we've done our homework. They know what you have. They know what you don't have. So knowing these is important, but also having a plan as a part of your strategic planning. How am I going to address those things that are not strong for us, that we're not as strong on, or we're weak on, that we're going to have to do better on? So an honest look at both strengths and weaknesses. This next little section is kind of a summary of what I've been talking about, but it comes from site consultants. Site consultants are the stallback company that was hired by Volkswagen to find a site for. They go hire these people who are professionals to go out and look and determine the best areas for a company that comes in. This is what they told us they're looking for. They're looking for physical appearance. Riding through a town, but let me put it this way. While you're sitting here today, there may be a prospect or a consultant driving through Albertville or Arab or Gunnersville, and you don't even know they're here. We don't even know they're here. They're coming through town just to see if they like this area, how does it look, how does it feel. It happens all the time. When Honda, we were talking about the Honda project a little earlier. When we worked the Honda project in the late 90s, before they came to the state of Alabama, they had already eliminated about 45 states. And they were down to these particular states. We didn't even know they had a project. So a lot of times, companies and consultants do a lot more homework on what's going on and how a community feels than we know they do. Adequate infrastructure. I don't know if you followed the stories after the Volkswagen decision. And, you want to put the best spin on it you can. Obviously, we tried to do that. But we also tried to tell the truth. Chattanooga had a site that already had roads going to the sites already in place. A lot of the infrastructure, the sewer, all those things were already done. They owned the site. They controlled the site. They could already start doing work on the site. We had a cotton field that we didn't own, didn't have any roads going to it, had no infrastructure. We were starting from behind. Now, the consultants picked that site, but we had to deal with it. What was dealt with, that we had to deal with. But had that infrastructure been in place, a lot of it, we could have given a better account of ourselves in this project. Infrastructure, sometimes, especially when a project is on a tight time frame, is going to have a lot of impact. Forward-looking leadership, again, we talked about that. Being aligned, looking forward, having a plan, everybody being on the same page. This is a term that the consultants use. Community charm factor. Now, I'm from a little town in southwest Alabama called Monroe. Now, my charm factor is To Kill a Mockingbird and the courthouse downtown, and the fact that I bet you there's not another town of 4,000 people that has 3 Pulitzer Prize winners. So, that's the charm factor that they're able to sell. What's yours? What makes you appealing? What makes you an area that they're going to want to come to? A lot of you I know have moved here. You found this charm factor out. You've got to be able to communicate that to companies that are looking here. A great accessible website. Matt, I didn't go on your website. I should have done that before I got here to look at it. But that's an important point today. We just went through at Alabama Development Office a year-long process to redo our website because it was lousy. And we made great strides with it. We still have a long way to go. But it has made a tremendous impact on the number of people who are contacting the state now with website. I'm going to leave the education system to these gentlemen, but we see it, they see it all the time when they're helping with supply. Let me tell you, foreign people who are coming in with companies, Germans, Japanese, Koreans, whoever, and they're transferring families from Germany over here. They want to know that when their children come here, they're not going to take a step backwards from the education standpoint. So the soft factors have become a big deal in economic development. Things that are not dollar-driven, but things that are intangible. The charm factor, the quality of life, the education system, all of those things have become much bigger issues in the economic development game than they were 10, 15 years ago. Culture, your accessibility to Huntsville, wherever, all of the culture around here can impact what you're selling to companies who are looking here. And the last thing, and then we'll open for questions. Economic development is the process of elimination. Let me give you a case in point. When we, back in, I guess, 3.5 years ago, BABS, which is the company that owns Airbus and builds all the giant jets in Toulouse, France, they sent out a letter to all 50 governors. And they said, you can submit up to 2 sites to build the tankers, which were in the middle of the big dispute with Boeing over. 40 states submitted 2 sites apiece. There were 80 sites. How many of those sites received a visit for the ABS? Anybody? Close. 4. 76 were eliminated on a boardroom floor somewhere. The point of that is, it's a tough game, and the consultants are doing everything they can to get it down to 3 or 4 or 5 sites they're looking at. And the rest of them never get a visit, don't even get a chance. So everything we do in terms of understanding a company, what they're asking for, what you're trying to read everything you can into it, but you're trying to get them in a position to play in the game so that you have a chance to win the game. It's a process of elimination. Let me open it for questions or